This is Bob Oliphant from the Westford Historical Society and Museum, bringing you episode 51 of season 4 of the Westford Wardsman podcast. The Westford Wardsman newspaper was part of Turner's Public Spirit, a weekly newspaper in Ayer a century ago. In this episode, we'll be reading the Wardsman for the week ending Saturday, December 23, 1911, and I'll elaborate on what was happening in Westford that week. The week starts with a column called News Items. At the recent meeting of the WCTU, that's the Women's Christian Temperance Union, held at Mrs. Andrew S. Wright's, a committee consisting of Mrs. David Wallace, Mrs. Homer Seavey, and Mrs. Alice Lambert was chosen to draw up resolutions of sympathy and to be extended to the family of their late sister member, Mrs. Sarah J. Hildreth. Mrs. Hildreth was much interested in the WCTU, having served as the local union's president for a number of terms, and her tragic death is keenly felt by the members of this union. Further routine business was transacted at this meeting, after which luncheon was served by the hostess and a social hour enjoyed. Miss Gertrude Hamlin is at home from Wellesley College, enjoying the 3 weeks holiday vacation. Mrs. Winifred Burnham of the Frost School entertained over the weekend her niece, Miss Evelyn Proctor of Essex. Howard Ferguson, who left home in September to try his fortunes in the Northwest, writes interesting letters to the home people each week of his experiences. At present, he is located in Fort Frances, Ontario. Fort Frances is in northwest Ontario, just across a bridge from International Falls, Minnesota. Its largest employer was a paper mill. Harwood L. Wright acted as best man at the wedding December 16th of his cousin, Herbert W. Wright of Worcester, to Miss Edith A. Barber of Townsend. The wedding was a very pretty but quiet home affair. This is the 6th occasion that our genial Dick, that's the nickname for Harwood Wright, has acted in this gracious capacity for his friends. Miss Grace Lumbert, who has made such a satisfactory recovery from her recent illness, assumed her new duties last Monday as helper and companion to Mrs. Etta Tyler in the latter's cozy new home. The midweek prayer service was held this week with Mrs. A.S. Wright with good attendance. The Christmas exercises for the children of the Congregational Church will take place Saturday evening. There will be a supper at 6 with Christmas tree and exercises following. All who have articles for the tree will please bring them earlier in the afternoon. Miss Blanche Waller is enjoying the Christmas vacation at home and was a guest at the Tadmuk Club Tuesday afternoon. Pleasant word comes from Los Angeles to the Westford friends from the Mrs. Atwood, where they are expending the winter. They are very pleasantly located and find much to see and enjoy. Meeting our other sojourners in the Golden Gate State, the H.B. Halls, has been mutually pleasant. Word also comes this week from around the world travelers, Mr. and Mrs. Walter P. Wright and Mrs. Elizabeth Whitney, of their visit to Batavia on the island of Java and Singapore in southeastern Asia. The Boy Scouts, under the direction of Scoutmaster Dexter Coggeshall, had a most enjoyable supper with speeches and games at the Town Hall Friday evening of last week. The supper was managed by a group of young ladies as follows: Mrs. Sutherland and Sullivan, Marjorie Seavey, Hazel Hartford, and Pauline Wallace. The speakers of the evening were Mr. Williams, physical director of the Lowell YMCA, who spoke most effectively. Also, John P. Wright and Reverend David Wallace, who were at their brightest and best. Altogether, all who had to do with the affair felt that it had proved a thorough success. Next, we have the section on the Tadmuk Club. The regular meeting of the Tadmuk Club took place in Library Hall Tuesday afternoon. The program was the third in the season special topic for study and was Northern Countries of South America. This was in charge of Mrs. Clara A. Smith, whose subject was Venezuela, Colombia, and French Guiana. Thoughtful study, good delivery, and good sense always characterized Miss Smith's papers, and this was especially true Tuesday afternoon and proved most interesting and instructive. Miss Edith Foster supplemented the program with an article on South American emeralds, which are mined in these countries, also a sketch of the tonka bean tree. Miss Marion Sweat read a dramatic traveler's sketch of a journey to the wonderful Cayeta Falls. To add to the variety of the afternoon, F.W. Brackett, supervisor of drawing in the schools, gave a talk on a few principles of art and exemplified the same with charcoal drawings. The next meeting, January 2nd, will be a continuation of the season study and will be, quote, Chile, the land of progress, and Chile they spell C-H-I-L-I. In charge of, we spell it with an E at the end, of course. In charge of Miss Edith Foster, it is hoped that the members will make a good New Year's beginning with a large attendance. Next, we have the About Town section. The sign on the Kittredge farm has been changed to the Old Homestead, 1846. The change is appropriate and sentimental. The Kittredge farm was located at 21 Depot Street. Hugo Page is back to business after his illness and is prepared to saw lumber and grind cob corn. Vincent Brickford has left the employ of the H.E. Fletcher Granite Company and accepted a position of fireman at the Brookside Mills, which is now running on full time. Plans are being made to remodel the Brown Cottage at West Chelmsford, owned by Donald Cameron, near the railroad station. It will be remodeled into a modern bungalow. P. Henry Harrington is the contractor, which is some evidence that the work will be modern. When completed, it will be occupied by Elliot Humiston of Westford, clerk for the Cameron Press Bagging Company. This is undoubtedly a reference to what was also known as the Sugden Press Bagging Company, located off School Street in West Chelmsford at the site of the old Eagle Mill on Eagle Mill Pond. It was started about 1870 and was incorporated in 1905. Julian Cameron of Westford was the president, and his brother Donald Cameron was the treasurer. The specialty cloth made here was used in the pressing of cocoa beans and in the manufacture of aniline dyes. The Unitarian Sunday School will observe Christmas with a Christmas tree and appropriate exercises in the vestry of the church this evening at 6:30 o'clock. Reverend Lyman B. Weeks was in town Wednesday and made a busy day visiting his new parishioners. He has an apt faculty of entertainment along these lines. By special request, the next meeting of the West Chelmsford Debating Society will be confined to members, as the new debaters are young and inexperienced and wish to gain practice before giving the public the influence of their early oratory. And the next paragraph is entitled Debating Society Organized. The West Chelmsford Debating Society held a meeting in Historical Hall last week, Tuesday evening. The Honorable Herbert E. Fletcher was elected chairman, James Dwyer vice chairman, Fred Snow secretary, Captain John Monahan treasurer, William Edwards, L.J. Ellingwood, Harold Fletcher trustees, Frank Ingalls, George Rudkins, Charles Peterson, subject committee. Meetings will be held the first and fourth Tuesday evenings of each month, to which the public are invited. The next meeting for the debate will be held on Tuesday evening, December 26th, when the following question will be discussed, resolved, that the farmer is of more benefit to the community than the manufacturer. The Society is making preparation to run social times of various kinds during the winter. Next, we have the Forge Village section. Cameron School held its Christmas tree exercises on Friday afternoon, and they were well attended. Children in all the different grades did exceptionally well, and much praise is due the teachers who have so patiently and earnestly worked with the children to make the Christmastide this year the success it was. The primary grades, under the supervision of Miss Blaisdell and Miss Payne, commenced the program, while the grammar grades, under Miss Ward and Miss Garvey, concluded the exercises. The sympathy of the village is extended to Mr. and Mrs. George Weaver in the loss of their infant son. He was named James Weaver, born last Wednesday, December 13th, 1911, at their home in North Littleton. The little one only lived 24 hours. Mr. and Mrs. George Kugel have returned from an extended visit with relatives in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Miss Louise Casey, Caisse, and children of Leominster have returned home after spending a few weeks with her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Augustine W. Karkin. Arthur Bennett of Boston was the guest of his grandfather, Alvin S. Bennett, last week, Thursday. Cameron School closed on Friday for the annual Christmas vacation of 2 weeks. At St. Andrew's Mission, services will be held at 4:30 p.m. instead of 7:30 p.m. Sunday school will begin at 3:30 as usual. On Christmas morning, Holy Communion will be administered at 9 o'clock. Reverend A.L. Bumpus will preach. Special music will be sung by the vested choir, and the church will be especially decorated. Miss Della Drake left on Saturday for an extended visit at the home of her mother, Mrs. Lena Drake of Ellsworth, Maine. At a meeting of Loyal Self-Help Lodge of Oddfellows on Monday evening, the following officers for the coming year were elected: Fred Davis, Grand Master; Charles Flanagan, Noble Grand; William Harrington, Vice Grand; William Baker, Secretary; William DeRone, Warden; Robert Orr, Chaplain. Mrs. Charles Blodgett, maiden name Emma Burnett, of Groton, spent Wednesday at the home of her parents, Mr. and Mrs. William Burnett. The next section is called Christmas Tree. The annual Christmas tree exercise at St. Andrew's Mission was held in Recreation Hall on Tuesday evening and proved to be most successful. The largest attendance in years was present, every seat being filled in the hall. The tree was very handsome in its gala dress and presented a fine appearance. During the time previous to Santa's arrival, a most pleasing musical program was carried out by the Sunday School, which well deserved the applause it received from the audience. Santa at last appeared, quote, all smeared with soot, end quote, at the bottom of the chimney, laden with presents and goodies, and was well received by all. He then distributed his presents and candies, remembering pupils and teachers of the Sunday School as well. With his cheery smile, Santa Claus wished all a Merry Christmas and departed on his journey. The affair was given through the generosity of the Groton School. Mr. Griswold was assisted by Mr. Lowell, who impersonated Santa Claus. The tree decorations were in charge of Miss Teresa Lowther, Miss Bertha Collins, and Albert Collins. Next, we have the Graniteville section. The members of St. Catherine's Temperance Society held a very interesting meeting on last Monday night. Considerable business of importance was transacted, and several applications for membership were received. It was voted to hold a social dancing party sometime in January. The next regular meeting will be held on Tuesday, December 26th, and as the election of officers will take place at this meeting, a large number is expected to attend. Christmas tree exercises were held in St. Catherine's Church on Friday evening and in the Sergeant School on Friday afternoon. Charles McClenna, who has been employed with the H.V. Fletcher Granite Company as engineer, has recently accepted a position as engineer of a large power plant in Peabody, where his brother Frank is foreman. Mr. McClenna left here a few days ago, and his wife will join him shortly after Christmas. The members of the Methodist Episcopal Church Choir are to follow the Old English custom this year, and in the early hours of Christmas morning will sing carols and other appropriate music at some of the houses in this village, so don't be surprised if they give you a call. The Sergeant School closed here on Friday after the Christmas tree exercises to remain closed for 2 weeks, the usual Christmas vacation. Business in the quarries has been practically suspended for the season, although good weather has prevailed at times and some of the work continues. The different firms are about ready to stop at any time. The trolley cars have been crowded during this week, many people from the village going to Lowell and Ayer for their Christmas shopping. The next paragraph is called Christmas Services. Special Christmas services will be held in the Methodist Episcopal Church here on Sunday, December 24th, both morning and evening. Following the program for the day, Sunday morning, the choir, under the direction of Henry Smith, will render 2 anthems, Christmas Awake and the Nativity. The pastor's theme will be the Christian's Holy Days. Sunday evening, Christmas Vesper services, anthem, Blessed is the People by the choir, invocation by the pastor. It came upon the midnight clear, ladies' quartet, reading the angel's message, anthem, In the Fields with Their Flocks Abiding by the choir, duet, The Holy Birth, the pastor's talk on the topic, The Song of the People, As with Gladness of Old Men, male quartet, anthem, How Beautiful Upon the Mountain by the choir, followed by the benediction. The morning service will begin at 10:45 and the Vesper service at 7:30 in the evening. The Christmas tree exercises at the ME Church will begin at 7:30 o'clock on this Saturday evening. That's the news in Westford for the week ending December 23rd, 1911. Thank you for listening, and thanks to Ryan Cousins of WestfordCAT for providing technical support. You can find transcriptions and podcasts from the Wardsman at our website at museum.westford.org or visit the Historical Society's Facebook page for more Westford news from days gone by. This is Bob Oliphant, and I hope you will join us for next week's Westford Wardsman podcast. Thank you.